I'd like to call the order of the September meeting for the Mayor and City Council, City of Taneytown. Ask Councilman Vigliotti to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're welcome. Good evening, everyone. And welcome. I hope you've begun preparations for your ark. You may need it in the next few days, it looks like. Mayor Pro Tem Foster is again absent this evening because of illness, recovering from her operation. I talked to her Sunday and she's progressing, but still in some discomfort. So. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for August the 8th, August the 13th, regular meetings, and a closed session on August the 13th. Anyone care to make a motion for the approval of those minutes, one or all?
I move we approve all three sets of minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I wanted to just add that the correction should be made on the closed meeting. Lieutenant Etzler was present during the closed meeting when I left and also when I re-entered the meeting.
Anyone care to?
So I'd move that we
Approve
amend
that
the
amendment?
minutes to include his presence here since he was present throughout the meeting.
Second.
Well, actually, he wasn't.
Well, now that's been seconded, we can discuss. And I want to get clarification from the attorney on that. Lieutenant Etzler was not in the meeting.
He was not. He was in a separate room.
That's correct. So he was not in attendance, and I don't believe he should be reflected because that would be false.
And when we moved from this room to the kitchen, he was moved from the kitchen to this room. And and Councilman Frazier never rejoined the meeting to see that one way or the other. He never came in from the hallway. So
The councilman's request for amendment is not valid because it's not correct.
Well,
you
it's
can
not.
do what you need to do, but Lieutenant Etzler was in the kitchen during your meeting here and was put here when your meeting was in the kitchen. The doors were closed. So.
Well, I
I mean,
just,
his presence in the chambers was solely for the purpose of securing the chambers to verify that there was no one coming in or out during the meeting, and that was not while business was conducted in that meeting.
Right, because you were making the determination of whether to move from this room to that room, so you were sitting here while he determined whether the building was secure.
well, I'd like to speak to the motion that I have a second for. When I didn't leave at the very beginning of the closed meeting, and he was present then. And then when I exited the building, I remember the words of Councilman Wance that the meeting was not restricted to a single topic or not required to be so. And this happened after the camera was turned off. But I did return up the stairway. And when I was elected to be a city councilman, I was given a key pass to the door and the code to the fire alarm. And I can be in the building and I can come and go in the building after hours and check my mailbox. And I have the ability to come and go. And that's what I did. I came up the stairway and wanted to make sure you only discussed one topic, and you all have no idea how long I was in the hallway.
I believe that's rather disingenuous of you to do, actually. If you elect to not be a part of the closed session, I think eavesdropping on the closed session is out of order.
I think it's out of order to do, if you give a declaratory statement that you're going into executive session for one topic in the declaratory statement to discuss another topic which you proceeded to do, I think is unlawful.
We went into closed session to discuss a personnel matter, and we discussed only personnel matters.
Councilman, it really doesn't make any
Well, you've gotten in
any
trouble in
relevance
the
whether you
courts
have that opinion or
before
not.
for violating the closed meeting law, and I was concerned about it, so I did return to the building.
You were invited to attend the closed session. You chose not to. When you left, you revoked your right to attend.
That's
Simple as
not
that.
accurate. I can come in anytime, day or night, to the meeting. I'm a city councilman. I know you all don't believe that, but I am a city councilman. in
You may come into the meeting, that's correct.
I can
But
come and
standing
go as I
outside of the
please.
door to
And in
eavesdrop
fact,
is
you were
not.
encouraged to attend that.
Well, it's very interesting what you all talk about.
All right, we'll move forward. Anyone care to make well, we made the motion. All in favor, say aye.
What, Mr. Mayor, before you do that, the current motion is for his amendment.
Correct, so we have to,
So we need to,
Yeah, you need to vote that
can
down.
we first vote to either approve or deny that amendment, Mr.
That
Mayor?
would be proper.
That's what I've called for.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone care to accept Councilman Frazier's motion to amend?
All those in favor, aye.
All opposed?
aye.
All right, 3 to 1. All right, now we need to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved?
And second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
I'm opposed. That's not accurate. You passed
All right.
false minutes again tonight.
Move forward and to, the next item is to ask the council if there's any conflicts of interest that appear on tonight's agenda that might cause someone some trouble.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay. All right, we have a resolution to introduce ordinance 05, 2018 concerning open burning. There was much discussion about that last Wednesday, and we have some revised wording from our acting city manager, and maybe you want to review that with us a little bit.
Sure, the version before you is just reflects the updates that we talked about at the workshop with the revision under salamanders for the different type of fuel and getting rid of the commercially manufactured as was requested Wednesday night, and also adding that it can't create a nuisance was also suggested Wednesday. So it's still a bit of a work in progress, but just wanted to keep you updated on what we have so far, and hopefully we'll have everything, well, the intent is to have everything ready to go for October, for passage in October.
Anybody have any questions or comments on what's been presented?
I just say that that's a good improvements that the ones I see here on the table and that have been made since our Wednesday workshop.
Mr.
Thank
Mayor,
you for the work on that.
with the council's permission, Councilman Vigliotti and I have done a lot of discussion over this since Wednesday and a lot of research over this, and we ask that you allow us to meet with Acting City Manager Wyprecht as well as Chief Tyler and a representative of the fire department to go through this a little further and make sure that all parties have a say and are in agreement with what we're looking to do. So with the council's permission, we'd like to do that.
I have no objection. We have till next October to approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Up for adoption, we have the water allocation for September. Resolution 2018-09. Anyone care to make a motion to approve the water allocation for
Move we
September?
approve it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so carried. Next, we have Resolution 2018-10, which is the violation of code of conduct and censure of Councilman Frazier regarding his absence from the Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference. As we discussed last week, the city is out a little over $1,000 because Councilman Frazier and his spouse failed to show up at the conference after committing to that. And as also requested, I happened to be in Annapolis Thursday, the day after the meeting, and talked with Scott about this and asked him to, if we could send him a letter as Councilman Frazier reported or requested, to clarify whether they would stand by that request to waive the fee. And we sent a mail, Clara sent an email to Scott Hancock, who's the executive director. And I have those here. I can read them. It's not very long. Dear Mr. This is the letter going to Scott Hancock. Mr. Hancock, I've been instructed by the mayor to contact you regarding obtaining the refund for Councilman Frazier's registration fee for 2018 municipal conference. Mr. Frazier has indicated that he had a misunderstanding regarding his attendance plans. I contacted MML on June 25th via email to make a request when the city learned of Councilman Frazier's failure to attend and was told at that time that the refund could not be issued. Could you please look into this matter and advise? In response, the following day, which was September 7th, Friday, dear Ms. Cowman, thank you for your letter of September 6, 2018, on behalf of the Mayor and City Council requesting my review and advice on the matter of registration for an elected official to attend the June MML Summer Conference. I also appreciate you making me aware of an email exchange with MML's conference director, Patty Foss-Burney, on June the 22nd, when you originally posed the question of a refund. The reply from Mrs. Foss-Burney on June the 25th was accurate as to MML's strict policy on refunds. We allow registration cancellation with penalty up to 15 days prior to the scheduled event. And after that time, for obvious reasons explained by Mrs. Foss-Burney in her June 25th response, MML does not issue any refunds. The only exceptions are made to this policy have been made for medical or family emergencies upon written request for the member municipality. Please let me know if there was any medical or family emergency in this case, and I will consider the circumstance. Otherwise, the response you received from Mrs. Foss-Burney on the 25th of June states MML's longstanding policy and is in the interest of fairness to all of the attendees of the MML functions, we must adhere to this policy. Please let me know if you have any additional information or need any additional information or questions. And thanks for your understanding in this decision is in the best interest of MML and its membership. That's the responses. So what we have before us is what we talked about Wednesday. We have an outstanding debt that Councilman Frazier is responsible for, and the remedy to that, I suppose, he could offer to pay that, or maybe make payment terms. I don't know if we want to consider something like that or not. Withhold salary would be a way to satisfy the majority of that debt. But anyway, in regard, if the debt is not paid, then we need to make a motion to censor. So, anyone care to?
Can I have a question?
Well, we need a motion on the floor before we can
following
discuss.
that, I would like to
Let's
ask
make
a
a motion
question.
to censor and second, and then we'll have a discussion.
Well, I make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, now there's discussion.
Yeah, this is the first time I've heard about these letters. May I have copies of those letters? Would that be all right with you? Okay, there's a motion on the table. I think that the trouble we have is a symptom of the trouble we have generally, that the council does not speak to me. They don't talk to me in a normal fashion, nor interact with me. My senior pastor, Curtis King, once said to me when I became the assistant pastor on staff that everything you do it as though you might someday have to explain it to a judge. And so after I was excoriated on Wednesday, I think that that's probably the best thing to do, is to let you all explain why you're doing this to a judge.
So in other words, you're not offering to make any kind of restitution for this?
Frazier's made a decision on the 27th of February and never consummated any commitment to go to Ocean City this year. If you'd have talked to me at the Living Cross, I would have told you I can't go this year. You talked to me on the first day of spring, I would have told you I can't go this year. If you'd talked to any of our friends that all knew we couldn't go, they would have told you the Fraziers can't go this year. because we just couldn't go this year. We made that decision months and months before.
Yes.
You called me in a disingenuous call from the ocean, inviting me out to dinner.
Councilman, if it was your intent to go to the meeting and then you decided on February 27th not to go, that is still your burden to explain to the rest of council that you did not want to go. If I say tomorrow I'm going to go, climb on top of City Hall and then I choose not to, that's my decision. And I'm the one who has to account for why I did not follow up with what I was going to do, irrespective of when I made the decision and where I made the decision.
I handed out a paper at the end of the meeting that tries to further explain why I was led to believe the town had made no preparations for me to go, and why I believe even after the mayor's call that no preparations were made for me to go. I wish I had a recording of that call. It would help with some of the confusion. I think that that's a good point that you make, that I could have done what you did to me, which is send a registered letter, say I'm not going. I think it's reasonable for the town to make a mistake, to think I'm going, because I did go the last 2 years. So I don't think that that's unlikely, that it might have been expected after we chatted.
Well, I guess,
Verbal meeting after a meeting in early February.
I guess all of that is fine, but still we have that issue where you selected a hotel that we were not accustomed to staying at, requested specifically that you were able to stay there. We made reservations there. Now, if reservations were made at this other hotel, it would seem to me that your intention was to go. Why would you make reservations at a foreign hotel if you weren't planning to go?
Well, I didn't make any reservations at a hotel. It was done by staff.
Well, you asked Clara to make the reservations.
It was done by staff. I cannot understand that either, Mr. Mayor. Why in the world would the Fraser family mislead the town to make reservations and then stand up the town? That wouldn't make any sense. What could I possibly gain by doing that? By making reservations and then stiffing the town? I can't understand that. It's not a plausible story that you put forward in this censure that I would do such a thing. And therefore...
Well, just to make sure you're clear regarding the dinner invitation, before I attend the conference, I always get a list of people who are going. I knew that you were going to attend.
I didn't know that.
Because of what I was told before I left. And the fact that I hadn't seen you the Monday morning of the conference, the first day of the conference, I gave you a call and said, I don't want you to feel left out. I don't want you to feel missed, that we're going to dinner as a council and I'd like you to attend. And that's when you told me that I decided not to go. It's first we found out about it. So that's the, and no explanation was offered, just the fact that you weren't there, so.
No, I don't recollect that conversation with exactly the tone that
Well,
you've just explained it.
I
You invited me to
very
dinner.
very
and,
clearly.
I explained to you why I couldn't, because I wasn't in Ocean City this year. That's what I told you.
Okay,
I learned about the fact that you had gone forward with reservations on July the 17th when actually my wife picked up a registered letter from the Taneytown post office. There were 3 attempts to deliver that letter, and they're marked on the envelope, and the 3rd attempt was on the 17th of July. Then I learned about the fact that you'd censured me when I came to the meeting on Wednesday, because you didn't bother to call me after your executive session, tell me what your decision was. So we're left somewhat
again,
damaged
you
by
were
the way
privy
you
to that
proceeded.
executive session, should you have decided to stay, and it was that whole executive session was designed for you to be able to explain your side of the story.
Well, after the Wednesday meeting, I
But
encouraged the public to
Since
watch
you
the
chose
Wednesday
not
meeting.
to do that, we had no choice but to move forward with
I
our
don't
action.
think there's anything I could do to stop the action you're doing now to me. I
Mr.
don't
Mayor,
think there's anything I could do or say.
I think there's some confusion over the purpose of bringing it to the council. It was Councilman Fraser's refusal to pay the bill that the mayor then brought to council to ask how we wanted to handle that situation. It was not to determine whether he was supposed to pay it or not. It was the fact that he had already refused to pay it. And then it was coming to us to decide what to do. And then as discussed at that closed session, we chose to enforce a code of conduct and bring forward the resolution for censure. And that's where we are today.
Now, you decided that. You made the motion, Mr. Wantz, to bring forth a censure motion in an executive session, which I think you illegally called following the August meeting.
All right.
Councilman, one other thing here, right? You know, talking about reasons why you could or could not go. All right, let's say for the sake of argument that February 27th, you decided you didn't want to go to the conference, right? Well, get rid of February, right? That's March, April, May, June. That's 4 months that you could have told us, hey, I'm not going to go, or you could have verified that you weren't going to go, right? But hold on. The conference was in June, right? So July, August, September. That's 3 months at this point that you could have still come to us, including the closed session last month, to explain what had happened. If there was a miscommunication, confusion, whatever the case was, we could have settled this before now.
Like adults.
Right, before we came to this point. But so altogether, that's what? That's 7 months? 7 months that we're here at this point between February and now? That's a lot of time. It's very easy to, the mayor picked up a phone to call you to invite you to dinner. You could have picked up the phone and said, hey, Mayor, I'm not going to be there. 4 months prior to that.
What I still can't figure out is the confirmations were in your mailbox that you picked up, and yet it still didn't give you a clue that there had been a mistake and it should be addressed with the mayor or with the clerk or something. But they were in your mailbox. You picked them up. The confirmation of hotel, of registration, of meetings, etc. That hasn't been addressed. And to simply blow it off, say, well, I didn't see that, it is not acceptable. It was in your mailbox, you took it. That right there just shows that you didn't care.
Well, I understand that you believe that, but that is not what occurred.
Well,
The town also could have spoken to me about my going to the ocean.
As far as the city knew you were going, because you
well,
were
I mean,
any
what would have,
Till after the conference.
like you stated a few minutes ago, it's your habit to go to this meeting. Why would we assume you weren't going to go to it after you registered for it? Why would that have
Not
crossed our
register for
mind?
it. The Frasers did not register for the conference.
Well, I
This
think you-
year, we
well,
cannot go to, the Frasers
the-
could
the
not go to
evidence
the
is
summer
of the
conference in
contrary.
Ocean City this year.
The evidence is of the contrary. You did register.
Those
Whether you
same 4
decided
months that
between
Councilman
the time you
Vigliotti
registered
mentioned
and the
about.
time the conference occurred that you didn't want to go, then that may be in question.
I could have had a
But the
clue.
fact that you registered is sure, and the fact that you had ample amount of time to advise the city of your changed plans is also pretty evident. But you failed to do that.
Well, you
And
had,
that's where the mistake happened.
March
That's
and
where
April.
that's where the breach of conduct occurred.
in May and June, you could have told me you had a hotel reservation for
And
me.
again-
March, April, May, June, you could have told me that you paid this
It's a-
registration
it's a-
fee for me.
it's a
Well, in-
over $1,000
That-
of taxpayer money that you've taken from the citizens.
And that brings it back to my point is that
And that's a shame. It really is.
that brings it back to my point that you were told by way of giving you confirmations of the hotel and of the registration in written paper format. Confirmation. So don't say the city never told you. The city did tell you.
That
They
is
gave you the
not
information you need. That is. Now, Mr. Mayor, I'm willing to make a motion to table this if Councilman Frazier agrees to simply pay the bill and all of this can be forgotten. Councilman Frazier, are you willing to do that?
The Frasers don't owe any money to the town because we never consummated the reservation for the summer conference in 2018, and we were not given notice that you had done so until the 17th of July.
Mr. Mayor, I call the question.
All right, all in favor of censoring Councilman Frazier, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Opposed.
So carried.
Mr. Mayor, you need 2 votes on this. That vote passes Resolution 2018-10, and then there's a second vote required for the actual censure, which is the active censure on the 3rd page.
All right. I would care to make a motion for the active censor.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like to say that it's inappropriate for you to move to censure me for anything until I get a hearing. I was denied the right to speak at the executive session. I was denied the right to speak at the workshop. I was denied the right to discuss any of these things. And I think it's very inappropriate. I encourage my colleagues not to move forward with the censure because they only have a fragment of the evidence that I would like to produce for the sound.
And Councilman Frazier, as you know, you yourself said you left the closed session meeting. You refused to attend to present the evidence that you said you had to present. So if you fail to show up to a meeting that you said that you had evidence to present at, then how is that our fault?
Well, let's talk about communication again. I mean, once again, we've had how many days since Wednesday that this could have been fought, and we haven't received anything. It's now Monday night. We've brought it forward. We've made the motion. We've seconded it, and you still insist that there is information that you have not given, which I think is highly irresponsible of you if you're actually trying to fight this case. I highly doubt there's even any evidence that you could offer at this point if you're not willing to bring it forward now. You know, we're past the 11th hour. We are stroke of midnight, and you've yet to actually produce it. Don't say you were denied anything. You were given every opportunity in the world to defend yourself, and you chose not to. Whether it was out of spite towards us or what it was, you made conscious decisions to not communicate with us at the closed session, to bring forward this evidence you claim you have. So everything you're saying doesn't even make sense. It comes out to, it's balderdash. It really is.
Well, we're not getting anywhere here. We need to call for this vote too.
Well, I just
All in
want to
favor?
reiterate, before you vote to do this thing, that you should be careful because this damages our family. Because the way Mr. Wance worded the motion in the executive session, you can tell from the minutes, means that the town has been using normal procedures to book me for the fall convention, and the amount the owing is going to increase to $3,000 if you pass this motion.
Oh, okay, before we get the vote, I'd like to know that.
The summer convention I don't owe, then you're going to add the amount written here plus the amount for the fall session. I remitted a check for about $264 for the events that are coming up in October, but I will not be able to attend that convention, and I'm damaged by that.
You can attend, you just have to pay for it yourself. The city will not front the
You have
money
to
for
pay
that.
for yours?
No, because I haven't had that privilege revoked by the council.
Right.
Because I've
Well, I
acted
think I'm
appropriately
damaged
in
by
my
that,
position.
And I'm going to seek compensation for that damage. Not only damages my reputation, I've been called a liar on Wednesday, and vitriol is clear. I think nothing I could say would stop you from moving forward today. There's no recourse at this venue.
I gave
Do you
you.
think
I was
you're
gonna say,
telling
sure,
the
there is. You
truth?
could say, I was wrong, and here's a check. That would stop it right there.
Right?
But you refused to admit you were wrong, so.
Or make it semi-painless and say, keep my salary for the next 8 months and I'll pay the difference.
Were you anticipating doing that as well?
No, it's an option, though.
That's an option he's offered you.
Yeah, I think that I'll recover damages.
That would be kind of painless, wouldn't it? And it would cost the citizens of Taneytown.
It's going to cost the citizens money. This vote, if you conduct it, it's going to cost the citizens money.
All right.
You can table the motion.
Well, I don't think bullying us is going to be an appropriate response for you right now, because that's what you're doing.
Oh, in what way am I bullying you?
You,
Right. You sound a lot like Escanese, actually. You sound a lot like Escanese.
I'm just trying to say that this is a mistake you're making, and I don't want you to make it. And I encourage my colleagues to vote no.
You would
Straight up
better think
Escanese.
twice about who's making the mistake, Councilman. Think twice about who's making the mistake. All right. All in favor of the censure, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed. I owe no money to the city for the summer convention because the Frasers are not going to Ocean City this year.
All right, let's move forward. I forgot something, and I wanted to do this because I promised somebody that I would do it. It was unfortunate, a few weeks ago, we had some racist literature distributed at random in town. I believe by, we don't know who did it, but I believe it was from people outside our town. I don't think anyone within our town did this. But it disturbed me and the rest of the council considerably when we found it. And we made an attempt to let the citizens of Taneytown know that we would not stand for this type of harassment in our town. We published a letter that was put on Facebook and other social media and on our website. And I promised some folks that I would read it again at this meeting, just so that it would be part of the public record. I'd like to do that at this time. To the citizens of Taneytown, it's come to our attention that divisive, racist, and hateful literature has been distributed here in our beloved city. We, the mayor and council, and the administration of the city of Taneytown, unhesitatingly, emphatically, and wholly reject and condemn this utterly un-American attempt to imbue hatred and to sow division. We declare that hatred has no place in Taneytown. Rather, we affirm that all human beings are created by the hands of God, and that all human beings are gifted with unique souls and natural rights and freedoms that no person may take away. We believe that all Americans, regardless of their differences, are entitled to God's blessings and to the protections of the natural rights and freedoms under the United States Constitution, state and local laws, and they all are welcome in Taneytown. We vow that we will uphold the equality of the law. Our governance as elected leaders have always demonstrated that we will always demonstrate this. Our administration, officials, and law enforcement agencies have always upheld and will uphold these laws. We encourage the residents to seek out one another in common respect, love, and compassion, no matter our differences. We have built a community upon simple ideas and values, including that of neighbor helping neighbor. Ultimately, we recognize ourselves in one another's eyes and encourage everyone to take strength in each other. We are all in this together, and it was signed by the mayor and city council of the city of Taneytown, and I just want to, hopefully that we won't have to address this again in the future, but I just wanted that part of the official record of our meeting.
Well, I want to protest that you received letters of this variety, and I have never been given any copies of them or been privy to them. I read my email before I came to this meeting tonight and looked back through the archives of my email, and I did not sign the letter that you had. The city council did not sign it because I wasn't told about it, and I didn't get a copy of it to sign, and I didn't get the initial offense. But I heard you discussing it in the email. So the allegation that you are having meetings amongst yourselves without the normal procedure to do so is provable through this letter, because you are not allowed to say the city council signed that if I was never given a copy of it.
You disagree with the letter then?
I disagree with secret meetings.
There was no secret meeting.
Who knew about this letter that came, of racist letter? And who signed this letter, and has it already gone out?
The racist letter, it was on Facebook. The racist letter that went out came out a couple of weeks ago. The KKK came through town. They were putting racist propaganda in little plastic bags full of birdseed.
How do you know this? Did you get one?
No, I did not get one, but they're all over Facebook.
Where did you learn that?
On Facebook. A lot of citizens were concerned.
Allow me to share. I can help, because I had sent you a copy of, well, a picture of that letter, because it was shared with me through someone that had shared it with, I'm sorry? Well,
I can address that. It came from me. We were addressing the citizens at large, and I addressed councilmen, and we got together and it was taken back through Joe Bigliotti.
He's your contact person. I think.
This instance required immediate action. It did not constitute a meeting of any kind. It was generally supported by any individual that I would talk to. would
I'd
support
like to
that
have
letter.
seen a draft.
If you choose
such a
not to
letter in-
support
I
that
sent
letter-
out a draft of such a
Okay,
letter.
Mr. Mayor, let me.
Let's move on. I'm not going to have this as a point of contention. This is something that we're stating in a positive way. And for you to make it negative, I just don't have time for it. That's all. All right? Let's move on to the city manager's report. What do you have for us, Jim?
Nothing to add this evening.
Okay. Any questions for Jim?
I'd just like to say I appreciate the discussions I've had with him and appreciate the efforts to bring peace in this circumstance that were rebuffed on Wednesday.
All right, any questions on the departmental reports? Legal report. Jay, what do you have for us tonight? Anything?
A couple new items and a follow-up. The follow-up is Councilman Vigliotti had asked about the scanning technology. Remember his issue about that. We'll call it facial recognition technology. That's what it is. And it's the same thing like law enforcement uses. And there's a large body of information out there on it. I told you I contacted MML, and they're contacting the National League of Cities. I did find 3 articles that I'm going to get to all of you so you can at least understand the background of how it relates to government and how it relates to private citizens and businesses. This isn't about government's use of it, it's about the businesses. And so, instead of talking about it, I'll just let you read that. MML is researching the issue on a statewide level. A lot of states are dealing with this, and just to give you the quick overview, is if a state deals with it in their privacy laws, then local governments would be preempted from doing anything because it's dealt with at the state level. So right now MML is researching whether Maryland's privacy laws have been amended to deal with anything like this. And if they have, then we would be precluded from doing something. If they haven't, then we could do something ourselves. The what we would do is still open, but we could do something. So I'll get that out to you in the next week or so. And once MML gives me an answer, I'll write you that up as well. Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
The second issue is I'm going to recommend that you all at the close of this meeting go into a closed session for legal advice. We have 2 issues that have come up since today at 4 o'clock. The first issue is, and I believe you all received a copy of an email from Daniel Cox. The email timestamp was 3:58 today to myself and the members of the mayor and council. And Mr. Cox indicates he represents Councilman Frazier and talks about a potential lawsuit that he is going to file tomorrow against the city. So if you want to discuss the details of that further, we should go into closed session at the end of the meeting. Along with that, today's been a big day for letters. We received an anonymous letter regarding issues with our Taneytown Police Department. Obviously, the letter wasn't signed, and it was sent to each one of you via mail. So you should have gotten this mail to you. So we have a copy of that, and I think we need to talk about the legal procedure that we're going to need to do to address this with the chief. And so as part of our closed session, I would think that we need to deal with legal advice on that matter and then discussing the litigation on that. So if you so choose to do that, you can call for that meeting at the end of tonight's meeting.
Questions from our attorney? What sort of lawsuit did you get an email about 325? Is that one?
It was a lawsuit from your attorney stating that he was going to file a lawsuit against the city on your behalf.
What type of lawsuit is it? It says right there. It says that it's to put a stand on the actions of damage our family.
Then already said you
right there. Read it. I read it.
I'm not going to discuss the legal stuff in an open session. That's what I just
I'm not going to attend your secret sessions. But you should read the actual email you got because I got a copy of it.
then you should read it. But I'm not going to discuss my client's legal business in public session. If you choose to do so, you're more than welcome to.
You can explain it to the judge.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's Let's move on to old business. You know, we talked last Wednesday about maintenance dams. That's some other items that we could use to encourage property owners to occupy and better maintain their buildings. And I thought the suggestion that came that we request the design committee to look into this was a good one. And I guess by consensus, we could, the only thing I do is just approval to do that and get that involved.
Second, sir.
Anybody have any objections to that? All right, let's do that. New business, what's your financial report? Anyone have any questions on the financial report? Would like to make a motion to approve the financial report? For a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Next, the accounts payable are before us, and we could make a motion to approve the accounts payable.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Next, we have a request from Board of Fire, what we thought, I'd like to do here tonight. Requesting the benefit assessment amortization. You would care to make a motion to do that?
So moved.
Is there a second? Was that second? Yes. Any discussion?
Can you remind me, did we decide on the time that would be split up over?
Tonight's motion is just basically to authorize us to work on details. We'll come back to you with those details. We need to decide to figure out exactly how to structure it. We have a situation where we've got a tenant and a property owner involved, so tonight's just giving us the direction to move forward with it.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so here. Next, we have a conflict with our next meeting date in October, falling on Columbus Day. Anyone have any thoughts about what we need to do about that?
Well, I would think one of two things. Number one, you just have a meeting Tuesday, right? That's number one. And I guess number two, depending on how much we actually have on the agenda for October, maybe we do what we did, I think it was in June or May, where we had one meeting.
I would be reluctant to do that. I think that I would recommend we meet on Tuesday.
I have also looked to cut out public input that occurs in a workshop by having a voting session.
Okay.
Tuesday's not on there.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion that we reschedule our October meeting for Tuesday night after Columbus Day.
That's the 9th of
I
October.
guess the night, I think.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
I'd like to make a motion before we adjourn, since there's no other items on here I was sorry to see, that the town send a letter to MML addressed to Scott, the director, and put forward the suggestion you made to us the day before Wednesday meeting, that I would pay the cancellation fee, and that we would regrettably that we have this agreement and request a refund, because we would get assurances that they would consider such a letter before dated. So I make it a formal motion that the council would send a letter dated tomorrow to MML and ask them to refund the portion of the bill that remains having to do with registration for the summer conference.
Councilman, I just read a letter where the executive director considered that request and it was denied.
I think that you're deaf. And the reason I think
That's unacceptable.
is because I said over and over on Wednesday that the agreement and the discussions that were made were on Tuesday of this past week. And so there's a great deal of
We've already made
people that are unhappy with the decision to censure Don Fraser.
request from MML to waive their fee.
So I made a
Once in
motion
July and once last week.
that I thought was a
think we're going to, if we write another letter, we'll come back to it?
Because I have more recent information than the date of those letters.
Mr. Mayor,
That's the reason.
what was the date of the last letter, Mr. Mayor?
September the 7th.
Friday. I don't think you have information any newer than Friday, Councilman Frazier. And I think you owe the mayor an apology for the statement you made, and you can learn to be a lot more respectful to him.
There's still a motion on the floor that we send a letter requesting, to MML, requesting a refund of those things, and mentioned in it that I will pay the cancellation fee that's discussed with my
Why didn't you bring this up earlier, number one? Number two, if, as you say, you weren't going to attend the session, why would you be willing to pay back anything at all at this point?
I think it's really unfortunate that you won't speak to me and give me copies of letters and things, but I think that that the idea of paying that back was sponsored by the staff there that day was most encouraging, and I think communication is a good thing, and they invited us to send a letter following that meeting, which was refused and ridiculed on Wednesday.
Which was sent on the
Some I did anyway. Against the council's wishes, I wrote the letter, or clearly wrote the letter, and Margaret was, and Scott responded to it.
There's no mention that I've agreed to pay that in your letter that you just read to us.
Let me read this sentence. We allow registration and cancellation with penalty up to approximately 15 days prior to the scheduled conference. That's it, that's it in a nutshell.
I was going to do it unilaterally.
15 days before that.
I was going to do it unilaterally between Wednesday and now, send a cancellation fee. But I thought, since you rejected the idea of understanding, I put before the council box, before a motion for adjournment, that the town write a letter acknowledging the fact that I agree to pay the
I have a
cancellation.
second for Councilman Frazier's motion.
And that,
Hearing no second, the motion dies. Okay, council member reports. Would you like to make any contributions to the meeting?
I think you made great contributions. I voted on everything. I corrected the error in the secret meeting that Mr. Esser was present during it. And I'd like to memorize a poem for tonight. It'd be lightly and airy. I can only remember a portion of it. It's called Prayerful Destitute, and I heard it first read by Dr. Larry Stanley. And it says that the greatest crimes disturb the judge's bench. And I think a great crime has occurred here tonight without me being able to present the evidence why we believe we were not told that registrations were made for us until July 17th of this year, which occurred. And if a council can use this code of conduct to charge a person, convict a person, and then penalize a person without any chance for them to respond to those charges, then a great crime has been done. It's a sad day for Taneytown when they pass such a code of conduct and it's not objected to by our attorney. Or it's unconstitutional.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing to say.
Just a few very brief things. First of all, I remind everybody that tomorrow is the anniversary of September 11th, and it's a day that we should all continue to keep in our minds and our hearts, because even though this was 17 years ago at this point, the world has not much changed in certain places, and we still face tremendous threats from abroad. And we want to keep in mind all of our law enforcement agents and our armed forces who are daily risking their lives over this sort of thing. The second thing I want to remind everybody that Land of Fear, our haunted theme park, opens at the end of this month. I think it's September 28th. I don't have the date offhand, but if anybody wants to contact me after this evening, I'll make sure to provide the dates for that. And then, in addition to that, I just hope that everybody stays safe and is careful over the next couple of days with the bad weather we've got coming.
Thank you.
For the sake of time,
male, be interested in knowing the town's first lady's going to sing the Star Spangled Banner at the FEMA commemoration tomorrow. So I'm very proud of that, and I will be in attendance. So I'm going to look forward to being there and cheering her on. He's the village right.
Give her our well-wishes.
That's right. Last time we met, when we met in closed session about, had to do with vacancy managers' compensation, and what I had come up with after talking with Henry, I want to inform you all, is a stipend of an additional 23% of that. I don't want to make sure I get to decimal points, but it would be for the extra duties that Council Margaret's, Councilman Margaret used to be council.
Go back in time.
Going back, the city manager Margaret is doing for us in Henry's absence, and we came up with just 20%. We looked at 20% and rounded it up is what we ended up doing. Thank you for that, and thank you for your help in that regard. It's appreciated. Can I ask a question, man? Has this been done in the executive meeting that they will attend?
Or is it being suggested for action now? He's suggesting it.
I was directed in the closed session to give the city manager and come up with a compensation.
Have you enacted that?
It will be in his next paycheck. And it will be retroactive to me, so that will be going to go back to the beginning.
I just want to be clear, the second item was in the executive session in August.
And to be clear, that's going to require a vote from you all to do that. You haven't voted on it yet.
Well, I just heard it's going to be done without vote.
I think the mayor's saying that's his proposal, and he's asking you all for discussion right now, and he's assuming since you all haven't opposed it, you're going to do
It's a
it.
good suggestion, but I don't think that's what he said.
Maybe you should all discuss that and then go.
My understanding is we asked him to bring us a number, and he has brought us a number, and now we can say yea or nay.
Right.
I move that we approve the mayor's decision, and as he described.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those like sign. Also, I have committee appointments to make. Some terms that have expired. And I'm not prepared to offer them tonight for approval. I want to give you the names, and well, these will be up for approval in October. If anyone has any concerns with any of the individuals, talk to me about it. I can find an alternative. But basically, I have just reappointed those who are, whose terms are expiring. Jim Parker on the planning and zoning, Jim Favor on planning and zoning. He's not going to be in Florida this year. Don't worry about that. And the vacant position, Daryl Hammond has accepted that position, so I'm encouraged that. Daryl was our mayor pro tem at one time. The Board of Zoning Appeals, Lee Hand, Larry Hilbrun, and Steve Farley are all gracious enough to accept another term. So those are the names I'll bring to you, and I have any issues with any of them, please get in touch with me. I have an appointment to make the Parks and Recreation. I'm waiting to talk to one of the candidates before I make my decision, but I'm pretty much sure who I want to make bring that for that one. Anyway, that's that. First Legislative Committee meeting was held Wednesday, Thursday actually, and a lot of issues
came before us, one of the things that struck me is that we're limiting our legislative action to 2 issues this year. And what they do is they go through others that LAR's legislative action request and discuss them and the pros and cons, and then we vote on the committee as a whole votes on which ones we think has the most benefit for most members. And that vote will be disclosed next Thursday. That was 2 days from now. And we'll have a mission on that. But things like small tower legislation was an LAR. And also, what I thought was not particularly nice was the waiving of the 5-year wait for the county to approve zoning. But right now, if the county disagrees with us on an annexation or a zoning change, they can hold it up for 5 years. And we're trying to get that way. But the end 5 years is not going to do it. Those are 2 that struck me, but there was a lot of other stuff that really didn't pertain to how the stuff should operate. But anyway, that's basically that. And in October, we do have the fall conference coming up, so if you're thinking about that, make sure Clara knows that. We have a MML chapter meeting coming up on the 20th of September over at Hempstead. I encourage you, if you haven't signed up for that, let Clara know as times get close to that. And I guess that's all I have said. Now, I guess I need to call for adjournment and then make a motion to go into executive.
Point of order, do we need to make a motion to adjourn and go into the closed session, or do we need to make a motion to adjourn and then a separate motion to go into closed session?
Motion to adjourn, and then the mayor will read a statement, and then make a motion to go into closed session based on.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Say aye.
Aye.
Just like sign, so here. Now I'd like to suggest that we go into closed session pursuant to section 3-305B, 7 and 8 of the general provisions of the Maryland Annotated Code, and some of the council to obtain legal advice regarding matters with the Taneytown Police Department, and consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending potential litigation. And we're going to make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Madam Chair, we didn't ask for discussion of that. And I am opposed to going into executive session to discuss these things. I'm miserable on that. You did this last night. Compensation for employees is the public's business, cannot be occurred in executive session. And so, once again, you have done it wrong. And I really know about going into executive session.
Let's reconvene in 10 minutes, 20 minutes to 8.
Now,